Welcome to Ivanoff Retirement Insights with Paul and Travis Ivanoff. The father and son team at Ivanoff Advisors has been helping clients grow and protect their wealth with a combined 50 years experience. Paul and Travis understand the importance of having tax-free, reliable income in retirement, protecting your assets, and helping you achieve your retirement dreams. Now, Ivanoff Retirement Insights.
Yes, thanks for being here today. You are in for more information to help clear up the confusing concept that is retirement. Make sure that you're subscribed to this podcast so that you never miss an episode of Ivanoff Retirement Insights, because we are breaking down retirement into small pieces so you can see how this whole picture comes together. My name is Allie Mack, and of course we have the usual suspect here, Travis Ivanoff. Travis, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Allie?
I'm doing very well, and I know we're going to cover a really touchy subject today, but this is a little peek behind the curtain. This was your idea, Travis, because it's something you guys do so regularly, and that's covering the topic of when a spouse passes away. I mean, Travis, where do we even start with this?
You know, it's obviously not an easy issue to tackle, but it's so necessary, and I think that when we first talk about when a spouse passes away, most people don't want to think about it, and that's the biggest issue, right? Mm-hmm. Is we haven't done the necessary work to prepare for that day, because unfortunately it is inevitable. But when you're starting to think about setting up assets, setting up trusts and everything like that, you know, you want to do that way ahead of anything like that happening, because unfortunately none of us are promised tomorrow. So you don't know when this is coming. Unfortunately, I was at a client's funeral on Saturday, mm-hmm. and he got sick, and within a month, everything kind of changed, and he ended up passing away. In fact, he was due to retire in January and had his trips planned and everything, and unfortunately, there was other things in the works for him. Right. So thankfully, we have been helping them for the last 3 years, and though we can't do anything for the wife as far as making it at all a better situation emotionally, of course, but as far as setting her up and making sure she's taken care of for life, that's why they trusted us in the first place. And I know I have a job to do. I mean, I've been at clients' house making sure beneficiaries are correct. I've been to, unfortunately, several funerals, and we know that our job over here is just to make it as easy as possible. And that starts in the beginning. Hey, do you have a trust? Have you checked your beneficiaries? Does everyone know what your final wishes are, right? We don't talk about those kind of things. What kind of music do you want at your funeral? Who do you want to present or talk? Who would you like to hear from? All those little details are important when you're getting ready for something like that. And I've helped set up funerals, and I've attended quite a few, and those details are huge. So there's actually a book I think it's on Amazon, Where to Look When I Die, or Where to Look When I Pass. And we've kind of done something similar. And those are all the little details I was talking about. Unfortunately, I lost my best friend cousin at like 25. And of course, everyone came to me, hey, do you know if you want to be buried? Do you know if he wants to be cremated? What kind of music? And I'm like, man, we never talked about any of that. We were 25 years old. Yeah. And I knew some of the music he'd like to hear, and, you know, his family's Catholic. So, you know, assuming he wanted to be buried and whatnot, but you don't think about that. And as you get older, you still aren't thinking about that, because it's never going to happen to you. But, you know, as far as passwords and final wishes, music, do you want to be cremated? All those different things are just a huge conversation that is an uncomfortable conversation. And that's where it starts. In our Ivanoff roadmap that we set up for retirement, we now include a section where it has all those details, and details as, hey, who handles your car insurance? Or where are you banking at? What are the things your kids probably don't know, or your spouse doesn't know, that need to be in there? Is there anything you're very proud of? Do you have an obsession with aerospace, or did you always have a dream of being spread in Hawaii? All those little details are so important, and that's where it starts, and we include that in our Ivanoff Retirement Roadmap. There's a whole section on that, as well as we have your trust, your beneficiaries, your account numbers. All of those details are built out through our retirement planning process, just because we've been through it enough to learn, okay, what is it that people are missing? There's the obvious things, but even those things that are obvious to us, for example, a trust again, aren't very obvious to everyone. So just making sure we have those ironed out.
So Travis, I'm curious. I mean, you mentioned all these different things that we can kind of have mapped out, but when should someone really come in and start to have these conversations? Because like you said, they are uncomfortable and they're hard to think about. That's why all of it gets put on the back burner. But when would you recommend someone come in?
Well, I think there's a two-part answer here. First off, I think you need to do it immediately, even for their kids that have kids, their grandkids, right? My wife and I, but when we had our first daughter, we refused to go on a vacation until we had a trust done where it was just her and I, because I wanted to know, okay, who's going to take my daughter?
Yeah.
Who's going to set that up? Is the life insurance ready to go? Is the trust there? What stipulations do you want on the trust? So, we work with a lot of pre-retirees and retirees, but I would even say for the younger clients or those that are kids of our clients, if you have kids, if you own some assets, you definitely need to be thinking about this immediately, right? And a lot of people, I mean, we're out in California, but I'll ask clients sometimes, or even my friends that are younger, right? And I go, hey, who do you want to have your kids if something were to happen to you and your wife? Some of them are like, well, nothing's going to happen to us, which is a common response. But no, I go, seriously, well, my brother and sister or whoever, right? And they make it sound very obvious. And I go, well, is that in writing? Mm-hmm. Did you do a trust? Do you have that set up? And the answer is always no. So I would say that's the first part is, no matter what age, if you have loved ones and assets and possessions that you want to go to a specific person, well, you need to have that dialed in prior to anything happening, because we just never know, right? Like I was saying, my cousin earlier, he's 25. And then the second part, when you're getting ready to retire, 5 years out from retirement is usually one of the most crucial timetables, because that's when you want to really start planning. Something that always kind of bothers me is when I talk to a client or a referral and they're like, well, I got time. I'm going to retire in like a year. I'm like, you don't. If you can start planning right now, you'll probably set yourself up with a better retirement, right? Planning is better than guessing. And a lot of people go into this just guessing. So 5 years out prior to retirement, and then definitely when you're retired, you want all this already laid out. But a lot of these things should be done way before that. Again, trust, life insurance, long-term care, who you want your assets to go to, who you want your kids to go to, who do you want your dog to go to. And my personal trust, I had $10,000 earmarked for my golden retriever, Baloo.
Oh, wow.
And I knew exactly where he was going. So if something happened to us, they still had money to take care of our golden retriever. Like that, those are the things you got to think about. Who's going to get your animals, right? All those different things.
I mean, that is a very important piece of it, something that you don't think of. So if you do want to have all these I's dotted, T's crossed, that's part of that Ivanoff roadmap. They run you through retirement, make sure that you are set for your 20 to 40 years of unemployment, basically retirement. Again, it's the Ivanoff Retirement Roadmap. You can get more information online at ivanoffinsights.com. And one thing that was important to you to mention today was that when a spouse passes away, your client is not alone.
Absolutely. Like, as morbid as it sounds, the first thing we want to get going is, hey, we need to get a death certificate. That's kind of the golden ticket to start moving the assets where they need to be, making sure we're not missing paychecks or anything like that. So once we have the death certificate, then we can start working with our custodians and insurance companies, and really behind the scenes, my team will go to work and make it as easy as possible. We try not to bother the client, because we know you need to grieve, you need to be there with your family, and we just want to make it as seamless as possible. So, some of my clients work with our trust attorney we use quite a bit. So her and I can communicate back and forth if I have questions, because we have the same client, and that makes it easier, right? Where I'm not bothering them like, hey, who's the executor? What did you want to do with this? And what bank accounts were under the trust? So we have all that laid out. So I just think that our goal is to make it as easy as possible. As hard of a situation it is, that's what we're going to jump in and do, and then make sure the paychecks are coming, make sure the money's divided correctly, and then the work starts before, right? You hear stories out there where a beneficiary, maybe it's a second marriage, and they don't realize that the ex-spouse was still the beneficiary, or maybe a kid that's no longer with them. I mean, you have to make sure you're checking your beneficiaries yearly. At our firm, we usually send out 1 or 2 email blasts a year, just letting them know, hey, it's that time. Make sure you're checking your beneficiaries. Has anything changed that we need to know about? So we need to change something in your planning, right? So just taking the time to reach out to clients and do the work prior to something happening where you can't undo it, right? You can't switch beneficiaries if someone's already gone. So those are the important takeaways when we are helping clients, and then just being there for them. I mean, I was at a funeral again, like I was saying, on Saturday, and it means a lot for that client to know, hey, we're in your corner. We're going to make sure we're there. We're going to take time away from our families on the weekend, and we're going to spend that with our client because we care about them deeply. They are family to us, and I need to make sure that she knows that I'm in her corner, and I'm going to help her every step of the way to make it as seamless as possible as far as the financial end.
Well, Travis, I think that says so much about you and your family that you show up for your clients like that. Is there anything that we didn't cover today as far as what someone should do, whether it's paperwork-wise or emotionally when it comes to when a spouse passes away? What should they do?
Well, I think something I haven't touched on is I believe it's important for clients to bring their kids in on the planning process. I enjoy getting to know my clients' kids. That way, if it's a single parent situation or something happens to both of them, I have a relationship with the children and the family. That way they know they can count on me. So we have different events. We had a huge barbecue event. We've had an Angels game event this year, and we encourage our clients to bring their kids and grandkids because we are the ones that are going to help the family when that time comes. So I enjoy meeting clients' kids, and then other than that, I think we're just making sure we're getting client feedback. And is there something we're missing in the process? We learn a lot from our clients constantly. So that's where we added, or we recommend that book, Where to Look When I Die. And then we've added a similar kind of section in our planning. And then Paul's even added cremation to our planning just to help people. It's not for everyone, I get that. But if it's something they're looking for, we just try to make all of this as seamless and a one-stop shop as much as possible. So, getting to know the children, letting them know I'm here if they need me, doing the groundwork way before anything like this happens. I mean, these are the important details, and a lot of this is laid out in the Ivanoff Retirement Roadmap, and we have every detail, beneficiary, life insurance. Even if we don't handle someone's life insurance, we still want to be aware, because I have no problem stepping in and just making sure it's done as quickly as possible for that family. Oftentimes, clients have had life insurance for 15 years, and maybe they've never talked to that advisor. They don't even know where to start. No problem. I'll get the death certificate. My team will start making the phone calls, and we will make the transition as easy as possible as far as financially and emotionally that we can.
Well, I know, Travis, that your clients so appreciate that. And I know it's truly a hard thing to think about, such a drastic change in someone's life. But the fact that you listen to this podcast, it shows how much you love your spouse. So if you want to get more information on how to get that Ivanoff Retirement Roadmap, you want to get everything ironed out, reach out to the team over at Ivanoff Wealth Management. The website is ivanoffinsights.com. Thanks so much for listening.
Investment advisory services offered through Ivanoff Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement by security regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Travis Ivanoff, California CRD number 325275. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Ivanoff Wealth Management Incorporated. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Ivanoff Wealth Management is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Ivanoff Wealth Management is licensed in your state, please call 714-553-1490. Ivanoff Advisors is not affiliated with Ivanoff Wealth Management Incorporated. Advisory services are offered by Travis Ivanoff through Ivanoff Wealth Management. Insurance services are offered by Paul Ivanoff through Ivanoff Advisors. The aforementioned are unaffiliated companies.